Om Sadashiva-Samarambham Shankaracharya-Madhyamam Asmadacharya-Paryantam Vande Guru-Paramparam Shruti-Smriti-Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad-Pada-Shankaram Loka-Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharya Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra-Bhashya-Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Om Mandasmita Mukambojam Mahaniya Gunarnavam Madura Vashinam Shantam Sarvabhota Dayaparam Bhakta Vatsalyam Jaladim Paramananda Vigraham Jnananandam Prapannosmi Nirmala Jnana Siddhaye Ayatu
Varada Devi Aksharam Brahma Samhitam Gayatri Chandasam Matedam Brahma Jushasvame Ojosi Sahosi Balamasi Brajosi Devanam Dhamanamasi Vishwamasi Vishvayu Sarvamasi Sarvayu Rabibhurom Gayatri Mavahayami Savitri Mavahayami Saraswati Mavahayami Chandarshi Mavahayami Shriyam Mavahayami Gayatriya Gayatri Chando Vishwamitra Rushi Savita Devata Agnirmukham Brahma Shiro Vishnu Hrudayagum Rudrashika Prutivi Yonihi Pranapana Vyanodana Samana Saprana Shveta Varna Sankyayana Sagotra Gayatri Chaturbigum Shatyakshara Tripada Shatkukshihi Panchashirsha Panayane Viniyoga Om Bhuhu Om Bhuvaha Om Suvaha Om Maha Om Janaha Om Tapaha Om Satyam Om Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat Om Apo Jyotirsomrutam Brahma Bhurbhuvasvarom Om Mahim Mulādhāre Kamapi Manipure Hutavaham Stitam Swadhisthane Hrudi Marutamākāshamupari Manopi Bhrumadhye Sakalamapi Bhitva Kulapatham Sahasrāra-The Saharahasi Patya Viharase Sudhādhāra Sāraihi Charanayugalāntarvikalitaihi Prapancham Sinchanti Punarapi Rasamnaya Mahasaha Avapyasvam Bhumim Bhujaganibhamadhyuštavalayam Svamatmanam Krutva Swapishikula Kunde Kuharini.
This session will begin the 9th shloka. We will cover the 9th and the 10th shloka. In the previous shloka, we meditated on the Devi who is in Sahasrāra, in union with Shiva. We meditated upon her on the Dharakasha. So that's what previous shloka was about. The 9th shloka begins with Mahim Mulādhāre Kamapi Manipure Hritavaham Sthitam Swadhisthane Hridimaruta Mākāshamupari Manobi Bhrumadhye Sakalamapi Bhitva Kulapadam Sahasrāre Padme Saha Rahasi Patya Viharase. See, the term Bhutam, in Panchabhutam, this term Bhutam refers to the 5 fundamental elements. The very subtle elements which are the building blocks of the material universe. Whereas Bhautikam refers to the manifested universe. The manifested universe is also made of the Bhutam, Panchabhutam, but it is Bhautikam. So you say in science, you say element and elementals, right? Element is bhutam, elementals is bhautikam. The body is bhautikam, not bhutam, bhautikam. Elementals. And panchabhutam, you got 5 primary elements. The mahabhutas, which you already know. Prithvi, apaha, agni, vayu. All these are panchabhutams. Akasha. And they form the fundamental aspect of the creation. The causal form. Fundamental form. And bhautikam, or the effect of the bhutam. So the physical body is bhautikam, which is a combination of all the 5 bhutams, 5 elements. So in the physical body is the Shakti, the feminine energy, the creative energy which fuels the life, and that Shakti is Kuṇḍalinī Shakti. And the sthanam of the Kuṇḍalinī Shakti are the chakras. The chakras, what they call as the energy points within the body. So which is the sthanam of the Kuṇḍalinī. Sthana means a resident, where she is resident. So in the physical body is this Shakti, the Kuṇḍalinī Shakti, and the shloka says, see the Devi in everything. And she is the Kuṇḍalinī Shakti in each of us. Just imagine if the Shakti is taken away from you, what will be your life? You can't do anything, isn't it? You and your Shakti are inseparable. And she is the Kuṇḍalinī Shakti in each of us. And the sthanam of the Kuṇḍalinī Shakti are the chakras. And this Kuṇḍalinī is the greatest potential we have. Greatest potential within us. And she gives us ananda, tremendous happiness. She removes our ignorance. And we know that ignorance is the root cause of misery. See, ignorance is like this dark clouds. The sun is there. The dark clouds are covering the sun. The sun is always present, but it is not visible to us because of the clouds. To recognize the sunlight, what do you need to do? What sadhana is required? The clouds have to be removed. That's all. The clouds of ignorance have to be removed. That is the only sadhana. And the Kuṇḍalinī Shakti within us removes this cloud of ignorance and gives us tremendous happiness. Unimaginable happiness. She showers us with ananda. And how do you understand this Kuṇḍalinī? Because in today's context, Kuṇḍalinī is most misrepresented and it is miscommunicated by many in our society. I have always said there is a big industry on Kuṇḍalinī. It's a thriving industry on Kuṇḍalinī. Everybody talks about Kuṇḍalinī. They talk about Kuṇḍalinī yoga. They talk about many things. It's a thriving industry today in this society. Not only that, people hear about Kuṇḍalinī. There are people who also share scary experiences on Kuṇḍalinī. Kuṇḍalinī rising will create a lot of scary experiences. We hear all this in this society, and that's why I say Kuṇḍalinī is the most misrepresented in this society. And this is sheer ignorance, absolute ignorance. So we need to clearly understand what the Shastram talks about Kuṇḍalinī. And the Shastram is the Pramana. So the Kuṇḍalinī is our own Shakti, our own potential. And she represents our infinite nature. She is the creative energy representing our infinite nature. And we are not aware of our infinite nature. Because of what? Because of ignorance. In the yoga system, 114 chakras are spoken about. And out of these 114 chakras, 7 are most important. There are 6 within us, within the body, and the seventh one is outside. So all the sadhanas will take you up to the sixth chakra, and from sixth to seventh, it is a jump. It's a jump into the unknown. When I say jump into the unknown, what does it mean? Jumping into the divinity, which means that divinity, that consciousness is not an object to be known. It's a subject to be realized. And that's why we say it is unknown. Sixth to seventh, it is unknown. You make a jump into the unknown. From knowledge to knowing. And there is no other way. And up to the sixth chakra, there are many ways to get there. Many types of sadhanas. If you look at some of the Tantra Shastram, they will talk about 112 ways to get up to the sixth chakra. But from sixth to seventh, there is no other way. It is a jump. Jump into the unknown. Even though there are 114 chakras, 7 are more important. How do you understand it? See, for example, if you want to travel from, say, Bangalore to Mysore, you got a highway. You can travel through the highway. If you don't want to take the highway, then you got a lot of side roads. They also lead to the final destination. So if you want to travel through the side roads, there are many of them, isn't it? Many of them, maybe hundreds of them, we don't know. So you look at it this way, 114 chakras. Every chakra is the sthanam for the Kundalini Shakti. You can tap into the truth of each chakra. But 7 primary chakras have been identified. It helps you to go up to the 6th through certain sadhanas. And from 6th to 7th, you have to make a jump. Jump into the unknown. And how do you understand this unknown? So you can call it as Brahman, you can call it as consciousness, awareness, whatever term you call it. How do you understand this unknown? The unknown is both emptiness and fullness. The emptiness and fullness are one and the same. You can call the emptiness as zero and fullness as infinity. So zero is what? Zero is emptiness, which means absence of form, which means unmanifest. Whereas infinity is fullness, every possibility, the manifest. And both zero and infinity point to the same reality, the same consciousness, the same indivisible consciousness. You are looking at it from different angles, that's all. So fullness and emptiness are one and the same. We call them differently based on how the mind wants to perceive. See, look at zero. You want to limit zero. How do you limit zero? You put certain lines around it, certain numbers around it. So zero becomes limited. Otherwise, zero is also infinite. So if you take a circle, where is the beginning of the circle? Where is the end of the circle? The circle doesn't have beginning or end. That's how you need to look at zero and infinity, the fullness and emptiness. And the Upanishad says, Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purna Mudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. And the reality is absolute. Emptiness and fullness are one and the same. They are one whole. How much ever emptiness you add or delete from emptiness, emptiness will remain. And this is also the nature of the whole. So a seeker can follow two paths. Either become whole or become empty. So both possibilities exist for the seeker. So you can claim Aham Brahmasmi or Aham Shunya. Both are one and the same. And this is possible only when the ignorance is removed and the Shakti, the Kundalini Shakti removes our ignorance. Only thing is that we need to awaken her. She is lying dormant in the Mulādhāra. She is in the state of Yoga Nidra. You have to awaken her. And the Shakti Sthanam, or the energy points, or the chakras. And the Shakti allows the sadhaka, the upasaka, to go beyond the limitation of Maya. The sadhaka is stuck in the limitations of the world, the mundane world. And how do you reach the ultimate truth, which is unlimited, which is limitless? So the awakening of the Kundalini energy is essential. The Kundalini Shakti, which is essential to guide the sadhaka, the individual, towards the cosmic consciousness. The cosmic consciousness is Shiva. And the chakras are along with the Sushumna. So, the first one is the Mulādhāra. And the Mulādhāra is associated with Prithvi Tattva. And Mulādhāra represents stability, grounding. And it is Gandha Tanmatra. See, the 5 Tanmatras correspond to the 5 senses. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. And the Tanmatras are undifferentiated subtle elements from which the gross elements are produced. The gross Panchabhutas evolve from the Tanmatras. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. So the Mulādhāra, it is Gandha Tanmatra. And the Mulādhāra is very important. It keeps the body grounded like how the earth keeps all of us grounded. So Mulādhāra is the hetu or reason for sthitihi. It is associated with Prithvi Tattvam. And if there is no Prithvi Tattvam, the body will fly away in space. So that is Mulādhāra, the first chakra. My intention in this session is not to go into details of this chakra. We have spoken about this elaborately in our other sessions, in our yoga sessions, in particular. Here I am just touching, the chakras. For people who are new, they can get some sort of an overview. So that is my intention here, without going into details. So the first chakra is Mulādhāra. The second chakra above the Mulādhāra is Swadhisthana. The Swadhisthana, as per the Yoga Shastram, is associated with Jala Tattva. Whereas in this shloka, it says Agni Tattva. So we'll take it as Agni Tattva as per this shloka. And Swadhisthana represents creativity. It represents flow and creativity. It is associated with Rupa Tanmatra. And the Devi has occupied this space as a sthanam and tied this spot with granthis. Knots. Granthi means knot. At the top end of Swadhisthana, there is a knot known as Rudra Granthi. Rudra is the Rishi who worships the Devi as Kundalini Shakti, and hence the name Rudra Granthi. Rudra Granthi is represented by 6 petals. Mulādhāra is represented by 4 petals. So Swadhisthana, which is Agni Tattva as per this shloka. And above Swadhisthana is Manipuraka. And Manipuraka is Rasa Tanmatra. And the Devi is resident in Manipuraka. And this, it is said, it is filled with precious stones. Stones are called as Mani. Precious stones. Hence Manipuraka. Precious is in the yogic tradition. It is typically called as, just imagine, it is called a city of jewels, precious jewels. So it is Manipuraka. It is a very, very important chakra, which fundamentally increases the self-esteem of the person and gives the person the ability to make decisions. So rasa tanmatra in Manipuraka, and it is represented by 10 petals. And then above the Manipuraka is Anahata. Anahata is associated with Vayu Tattva, and it is Parsha Tanmatra. So the sadhaka was progressively transcended the other chakras. Here's the Anahata Nada in this chakra. This is said in Sri Vidya Tantra. And the Nada must be understood as a clue the sadhaka gets for Sakshatkaram. So it is also said the sadhakas share some experiences when they reach Anahata Chakra. They hear musical instruments and so on. So we'll not worry about that much. Our aim is to understand the reality, move towards the ultimate reality. So Anahata Chakra, it is Parshatan Matra, represented by 12 petals. Then above the Anahata is Vishuddhi Chakra. Vishuddhi is Akasha Tattva, and it represents communication, expansion. It is Shabda Tanmatra. At the top end of this Vishuddhi Chakra is Vishnu Granthi. Vishnu Granthi. So Vishnu as Rishi worships the Devi here, and hence it is known as Vishnu Granthi. Vishnu Granthi, and this chakra, Vishuddhi Chakra, is represented by 16 petals. I forgot to mention the Mulādhāra. On the top end of Mulādhāra is Brahma Granthi. So you got Brahma Granthi, Rudra Granthi, Vishnu Granthi. Vishnu Granthi in the Vishuddhi Chakra. And Shabda Tanmatra associated with Vishuddhi Chakra. And then there is this Agnya Chakra. Agnya Chakra is associated with the mind, the manas. So when you say manas tattvam, it includes 11 things in manas tattvam, which is 5 jnanendriyam, 5 karmendriyam, and the mind put together is manas. So Agnya Chakra represents manas. It is also represented by 2 petals. So Manas Tattvam is totally 11, including 5 Jnanendriyam, 5 Karmendriyam. You know what is Jnanendriyam, what is 5 Karmendriyam. And there is a mind. So there are 11 Manas, totally it is 11. The Manas Tattvam comprises of 11 totally. So when you look at the first 6 chakras, starting from Mulādhāra, Swadhisthana, Manipuraka, Anahata, Vishuddhi, and the Agnya Chakra, it is what? The 5 Tanmatras, which is Gandha, Rupa, Rasa, Sparsha, Shabda, because each of the 5 chakras are associated with 5 Tanmatras. So 5 Tanmatras, each of the 5 chakras, the first to the 5th one, are associated with 5 Panchabhutas. So 5 Tanmatras and 5 Panchabhutas equal to 10. Then when you come to Agnya Chakra, it is Manas, which is 11 Tattvas, which is 5 Karmendriyam, 5 Jnanendriyam, and mind 11 Tattvas. When you add 10 and 11, which is 5 Tanmatras, plus 5 Panchabhutas, plus 11 Tattvas, Manas Tattvas, the total is 21 Tattvas. Above the Agnya is Sahasrāra. Sahasrāra is represented by 1000 petals. 1000 indicates infinity here. And that Sahasrāra is also known as Brahmarandra. And Sahasrāra represents that transcendental consciousness, the union of Shiva and Shakti. The ultimate, what is the desire of the Shakti? What is the desire of the Kuṇḍalinī Shakti? To be in union with Shiva. That is the only desire, nothing else. And she triggers the desire in the sadhaka to realize Shiva. That is the ascent of the Kuṇḍalinī. And that Sahasrāra represents the pure consciousness or transcendence, which is 1000 petals. It is also called as Brahmarandra. So if you add up all these together, see in the Brahmarandra, there are 4 tattvas in the Brahmarandra, which is Shiva Tattva, Sadashiva Tattva, Ishvara Tattva, and Shuddha Vidya. Again, I'm not going to cover all these tattvas. We have spoken about them elaborately in our previous sessions. I have to just mention this. So if people are new to this, they can just listen to this. If we don't want all this, you can also look at the shlokas from a bhakti point of view. That is also absolutely fine. But the deeper we understand the shlokas, the deeper we can go, and meditation on the shloka will be much more meaningful. So, the Sahasrāra, there are 4 tattvas which are Shiva Tattva, Sadashiva Tattva, Ishvara Tattva, and Shuddha Vidya. They all come under Shuddha Maya. So totally now how many tattvas? 21 plus 4 equal to 25 tattvas. Right? Up to now 25 tattvas. Just keep adding it. 5 Tanmatras, 5 Panchabhutas, 10, then 11 Manas tattvas, 21, then add 4 to them, which is Shiva, Sadashiva,
Ishvara.
the 4 tattvas associated with
Ishvara.
Brahmarandra. Ishvara Tattva, Shuddha Vidya. Sadashiva, Ishvara Tattva, Shuddha Vidya,
Shiva
Tattva, 4. So totally it comes to 25 tattvas now. There is also Shakti Tattva, which you already know. Okay. And the Shakti has pervaded herself as Shuddha Parabrahman. There is a Shakti Tattva in the Shuddha Maya. It makes it to 25 now. 26 now, correct? So in the Sahasrāra, the Shakti is enjoined with Sadashiva Tattva and she's known as Sada. She's always with Sadashiva, Sada. See, in the Shuddha Maya, there are 5 tattvas, isn't it? Which you already know, which is what? Shiva Tattva, Shakti Tattva, Ishvara Tattva, Shuddha Vidya, Sadashiva Tattva. You know that 5 tattva. Here, what I'm saying here is, from this context, just leave this Shakti, we add the Shakti later on, just to get some clarity on the Shakti. Only the 4 ones, which is Sadashiva Tattva, Ishvara Tattva, Shuddha Vidya, and Shiva Tattva. So 21 plus 4 becomes 25. There is 1 Shakti Tattva left, and the Shakti Tattva, the Shakti is pervaded herself everywhere as Shuddha Parabrahman. She is with the Sadashiva Tattva. She is with Sadashiva. And hence, she is known as Sada. Another name for that Shakti Tattva is Sada. And it is very, very important for the Upasaka to know this very, very clearly in the mind. So when you get into this shloka now, this will be clear. In this shloka, Shloka-9, it is about the ascent of the Kundalini from Mulādhāra to Sahasrāra. So when we read this shloka, relate it to yourself. So let the Kundalini, which is lying in the Mulādhāra in Yoga Nidra, let her rise up and touch the Sahasrāra. It begins with Mulādhāra. Mulādhāra Mahim. Mulādhāra Mahim. Mulādhāra stands for the Prithvi Tattva. Mulādhāra is the Mulādhāra chakra. Mulādhāra sthanam of that Kundalini. Mahim is the Prithvi Tattva. Mulādhāra Mahim. Prithvi Tattva associated with Mulādhāra. Then there is this next chakra, which is Manipuraka chakra. It is said in the shloka as Jala Tattva. Whereas in the yogic context, they will say Agni Tattva, but we'll take it in context of this shloka. Khamapi Manipure. Kham is the water element, the Jala Tattva. Manipura is the Manipuraka chakra, is the sthanam for the Devi. Khamapi Manipure. Mulādhāra Mahim. Khamapi Manipure. Hutavaham stitam swadhisthane. Hutavaham stitam swadhisthane. Huta is Agni. Hutam vahati iti hutavaha. Hutam vahati iti hutavaha. Agni is hutavaha. We offer oblation to Agni in the Homakunda, isn't it? That oblation which is offered is Hutam, and Agni carries this oblation Hutam to the different lokas. And that's why Agni is called as Hutavaha. Hutavaha. Hutavaham stitam swadhisthane. The Agni Tattva in Swadhisthana. Yoga will say Jala Tattva. But we take it in the context of the shloka. Agni Tattvam in Swadhisthana. Mulādhāre mahim kamapi manipure hutavaham stitam swadhisthane. Hridi marutam. Anahata chakra. Hridi indicates the Anahata chakra, and Maruta is Vayu Tattva. Maruta, Vayu Tattva. Hrida Marutam. So Mulādhāre mahim kamapi manipure hritavaham stitam swadhisthane. Hridi Marutam Makasham upari. Akasham upari. Akasham upari. Akasham upari. Above the Anahata is the Vishuddhi chakra. And this is to be understood as Upari. Even though it is not explicitly said here, Upari means the Vishuddhi chakra. It is Akasha Tattva. Bhrumadhye. Bhrumadhye, in between your eyebrows, that particular point is the Manas Tattva. Manas Tattva. Manaha. Manopi. Mana api. Manopi. And the Antakaranam. Bhrumadhye. Bhrumadhye. Brukshepa setuna. Setu is a bridge. The bridge between the eyebrows. This is the Agnya chakra. And this is the seat of the Chit Shakti. Seat of the Chit Shakti. See, for example, the Chit Shakti is everywhere. It fills the universe. But where do you recognize it? You recognize it here in the Agnya chakra. For example, the Ganga is flowing everywhere in Rishikesh. If you want to get into the water to take a dip, they have built a lot of ghats there, isn't it? So you choose an appropriate ghat. Then you get access to the water, Ganga water. Similarly, the Chit Shakti is everywhere. It fills the universe. To bring the mind to focus on the Chit Shakti, you need a ghat. And the ghat is Brukshepa. Brukshepa setuna. The bridge between eyebrows. You cross that bridge. Brukshepa setuna. When you cross that bridge, you transcend from duality to non-duality. Nirvikalpam manaha. Nirvikalpam manakritva. Once you cross that, what happens? Sarva urdve, sarvagaha, udgamaha. The oneness is realized. So, Bhrumadhye, Manopi Bhrumadhye, Kulapatam. Kulapatam is the Sushumna Nadi. Kulapatam. The root of the Sushumna Nadi, runs from the Mulādhāra to here, the Agnya. And the root of the Sushumna Nadi is Pat. So Kulapatam Bitva. Sakalamapi Bitva Kulapatam. So the Sushumna Nadi is that very subtle energy channel which travels up the spine from the base Mulādhāra chakra. And it is the pathway to the Sahasrāra chakra. And the ultimate goal of the Kundalini energy is to rise through the Sushumna, piercing all the chakras one by one and merging in the Sahasrāra. And the Sahasrāra is the innermost Sri chakra, which has got a Bindu, which is the union of Shiva and Shakti, Maheshwara. So as the Kundalini ascends from Mulādhāra towards Sahasrāra, It destroys the Granthis. You had the Brahma Granthi, Vishnu Granthi, and Rudra Granthi. They are the three knots. The Devi has tied all these three knots. Why? Because see, we have to struggle in life, isn't it? You have to go around Maya, struggle, get into all problems, misery. A point will come when you want to escape. If you lead your life in total comfort, you will never worry about escaping, isn't it? All facilities provided. You are very, very happy in life. Why do you talk about liberation? Not necessary, isn't it? Unless you go through hardships in life, you will never think about escaping. So the Devi has intelligently put all these knots around the line. Brahma Granthi, Rudra Granthi, Vishnu Granthi. And a point in life comes for the sadhaka. He wants to escape. He awakens the Kundalini. As she awakens and rises from Mulādhāra to Sahasrāra, she destroys all the Granthis. The Brahma Granthi, the Vishnu Granthi, and the Rudra Granthi. So the Brahma Granthi is in the Mulādhāra. You can say between the Mulādhāra and the Swadhisthana chakras, so the base of the spine. The Brahma Granthi is about attachment to material objects, physical pleasures. There is fear for survival. All these are associated with Brahma Granthi. They bind the person. And it is associated with tamoguna, ignorance, lethargy. So in the yogic context, there are a lot of practices to clear this ignorance, which is binding us. So practices like this Mula Bandha, they're all, in the Mula Bandha, all these are taught in yoga. So that is the aspect of Brahma Granthi. So she destroys the Brahma Granthi as she rises up. Then there is Vishnu Granthi. Vishnu Granthi is located around the Manipuraka and Anahata chakras. And Vishnu Granthi, what is the aspect of Vishnu Granthi? It is about emotional attachments, isn't it? Emotional attachments. And there is Ahamkara. You don't want to let go. You want to hold on to things, selfishness. All these are associated with Rajoguna, passion, ambition. And that Granthi has to be broken. It comes through devotion, it comes through sadhanas, commitment. And there are certain practices which are also taught in the yoga, which is Uddiyana Bandha, that is suggested. Take the Vishnu Granthi. And then there is Rudra Granthi. And the Rudra Granthi, it is the Vishuddhi chakra. Between the Vishuddhi and the Agnya chakra. You can also say that way. In the region of the throat and the eyebrows. The third eye. And what does Rudra Granthi do? It gives us a sense of attachment to individuality. Then intellectual ahamkara, isn't it? Intellectual pride, you call about it. And you also have psychic abilities called siddhis. All this will bind the person and they have to be destroyed. And how can they be destroyed? It's only through self-knowledge. In yogic practice, they will also suggest Jalandhara Bandhana, which can help dissolve the ahamkara, reduce the intellectual pride. So all these are the Granthis. So as the Devi rises from Mulādhāra, piercing all the chakras, she also destroys the Granthis, the Brahma Granthi, the Vishnu Granthi, and the Rudra Granthi. So in Mundaka Upanishad, it is said, right, Vidyate Hrate Granthi Chidyante Sarva Samshayaha Kshiyante Chasya Karmani Tasmin Drashte Paravare. So a person who has realized this ultimate, person who has realized that Brahman, all these knots are destroyed. So Granthi are these knots. And what the Granthis? Look at all the Granthis. They signify all this. I am the body. This is my wealth. I am a Sukhi. I am a Dukhi. I am in Samsara. All these are based on Ajnana. They tie us down. They keep us in Bandha. And this creates this feeling of abhimana. I am this, I am that. So Brahma Granthi is also abhimana on sthula shariram. Vishnu Granthi is the abhimana on sukshma shariram. Rudra Granthi is abhimana on karna shariram. Karna shariram is mula vidya. All this keep the individual, the person aligned for janmas. Janma after janma. Because of deha upadhi. And all these are destroyed based on Atma Sakshatkaram. So she destroys everything as she rises from Mulādhāra. And her only desire is to touch Sahasrāra, to have union with Shiva. That's the only desire. She doesn't have any other desires. Through her desire, she is telling us, let this be your only desire. Nothing else for you in your life. This should be your only desire. This is your purpose of your life. Sahasrāra-The saha rahasi patya viharase. Devi is along with her husband. Patya saha, along with her husband. Rahasi viharase. She is rejoicing with her husband. Rahasi means what? She is rejoicing with her husband secretly, in privacy. She doesn't want him. She's in union with him. So, Ho Devi, you delight us. You rejoice us all by yourself in privacy with your husband. She is inseparable from the reality. Like how the sun and the brilliance cannot be separated. So the ultimate truth, Shiva, is endowed with the power which is the Devi. And this is said as she is privately rejoicing with her husband, where Sahasrāra-The, the 1000-petal lotus, Sahasrāra-The, Saha Rahasi Patya Viharase. So this is the ascent of the Kundalini as said in this shloka, Mahim Mulādhāre Mapi Manipure Hritavaham Sthitam Swadhisthane Hridi Marutamakashamupari Manopi Rumadye Sakalamapi Bitva Sakalamapi Kritva Kulapatam Sahasrāra-The Saha Rahasi Patya Viharase. So that is this is the shloka. So this shloka has to be understood along with the next shloka, which is shloka number 10. So in the shloka number 9, it is the ascent of the Kundalini from the Sahasrāra, from the Mulādhāra to the Sahasrāra. Whereas in the next shloka, she is descending down from Sahasrāra to Mulādhāra. So it begins with Sudha Dara Saraihi. Sudha Dara Sarai. Sudha Dara Sarai Charana Yugala Antar Vigalitaihi. Charana Yugala Antar Vigalitaihi Prapancham Sinjanti Punarapi Asamnaya Mahasaha Avapya Swam Bhumi Pujaga Nibamam Adyushtavalayam. Avapya Swam Bhumim Pujaga Nibamam Adyushtavalayam Swa Atmanam Krutva Swapishi Kulakunde Kuharini. Swapishi Kulakunde Kuharini. In Sthanam, we spoke about the 7 chakras. Between the Agnya chakra and the Sahasrāra, there are 7 more chakras. See, all the 7 chakras above the Agnya chakra, they are different stages of samadhi. So you got Agnya. Above the Agnya is Ardha Chandra. Then you will have Nada. Then you got Nirodhika. Then you will have Nada, Nadanta, Sanmani, Unmani. All these are chakras above this. So each of them indicate a stage of samadhi. So there's Ardha Chandra, that's both the Agnya Chakra. So you look at a typical Shiva's head. Shiva will have an Ardha Chandra on top of his head, which is also called as Chandra Mandalam in the Yoga Shastram. And the Chandra Mandalam is located just below the Brahmarandra. Brahmarandra is also Sahasrāra. The Unmani is also Sahasrāra. You can take it that way. And this Chandra Mandala represents a perfect moon, and which possesses 16 kalas. Each kala is the face of the moon. There's so many faces of the moon, isn't it? We'll talk about these kalas in some of the shlokas which are going to come down the line. I'll just give a brief mention about these kalas. Kala are the 16 faces of the moon. Like from Amavasya to Paurnami, the moon has got certain number of faces. So you got 16 faces of the moon. Each face represents an aspect of the Devi. So the mantra associated with it, we'll talk about all this when we come to the kalas. I'll not mention this right now. So there is this Chandra Mandala, which is Ardha Chandra, which is there just above the Agnya Chakra, which you see on the head of Shiva. Shiva is the Purusha. Shiva is soaked in ecstasy. It's the state of Shiva, isn't it? How does Shiva get this ecstasy? What is showering that? The Devi is showering the ecstasy on him, in union with him. So as the Kundalini rises toward the Sahasrāra, where it is represented by 1,000 petals, it bites the base of the Chandra Mandala. The Kundalini bites it. When it bites the base of the Chandra Mandala, the Ardha Chandra, that Ardha Chandra is filled with nectar. When she bites it, she releases all the nectar, causing the Upasaka to experience the bits of the nectar. The Ananda is showered on him. So the Chandra Mandala is filled with the Jalam. The Jalam is the nectar dripping from the Devi's feet in the Mulādhāra. The Devi's feet is Ananda. That Ananda is dripping as a nectar in the Chandra Mandala. And when the Kundalini rises, it bites the base of the Chandra Mandala. It opens the flood of Amrita. And that Amrita showers down on the Purusha, on the Sadhaka. It nourishes all the 72,000 nadis. And the Sadhaka is soaked in Ananda. So having soaked the Upasaka in the Ananda, the Kundalini descends down and settles in Mulādhāra in Yoga Nidra. And she obtains the name Kundalini Shakti or Kula Kundalini. So she is resident in the Mulādhāra in the Sushumna Nadi. And the Sushumna Nadi is a very subtle Nadi, and the Upasaka must have a subtle mind to realize her. So having soaked the Upasaka with that Amrita, having soaked the Purusha with that Amrita, the Ananda, it goes again back to Mulādhāra and rests in Yoga Nidra as Kula Kundalini. And how did the sadhaka awaken her? The sadhaka, there are many practices are there. We'll not go through that. So the sadhaka can use bandhas. Bandhas are, bandhas are certain methods which are designed to move the prana to higher levels. So you got the Moola Bandha, Udyana Bandha, and Jalandhara Bandha. And using these bandhas, the sadhaka can direct the pranic energy towards the higher aspects, the higher regions. So when the prana is diverted towards the higher regions, what happens is when the sadhaka uses all these bandhas, the sadhaka is also in the state of kumbhaka. In the state of kumbhaka, the Agni in the Swadhisthana is kindled, and the sleeping serpent, the Kundalini, rises because the Agni is kindled. So she pierces all the chakras one by one into the Sahasrāra. She tears the Granthi in the process. And we have spoken a lot about Kumbhaka and all these bandhas and other practices in our yoga sessions and in Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. As I said, my intention is not to go through them in details. We'll focus on the shlokas. I'm just mentioning it. You can hear about it. So she pierces all the chakras. She goes to the Sahasrāra. Before going to the Sahasrāra, she bites the Chandra Mandala, the Ardha Chandra, and a flood of nectar rushes down, soaking the sadhaka in Ananda. Then she touches the Sahasrāra and descends down into Mulādhāra and rests in Yoga Nidra. And the realization happens in Sahasrāra, and the realization is about oneness. So Devi is called as Shri Mata. Shri Mata means what? Shri Mata is mother. Mother who has got immeasurable wealth, who removes all our sorrows, who gives us only Ananda. So Shri Mata also indicates the role of the Devi in the creation, as the creation. So how do you understand her? It is Kula Kuṇḍalinī. So Shastras talk about her extensively. The Tantra deals with her, with mantras, deals elaborately with Kuṇḍalinī. So the entire universe, the entire energy in the universe is Kuṇḍalinī, and that Kuṇḍalinī is Parashakti, and she operates at the individual level in the body. And the Kuṇḍalinī is the creative energy, right? And we don't use that energy because of our ignorance. And we use a little bit of that energy to procreate. As human beings, we procreate. The energy is dispelled. The energy is wasted in procreation. It stays dormant in the bottom in Mulādhāra. And the normal human being or the ordinary human being uses this energy again and again only for the sake of procreation and enjoying the world. Nothing more than that. But her potential is infinite. But the yogi turns it around and makes her ascend to higher dimensions. So when she rises and touches the higher dimensions, she becomes the creative energy. So tantra, mantra, yantra, kriya, sadhana, everything is associated in turning this energy around to higher dimensions. All that is Kuṇḍalinī alone. And awakening the Kuṇḍalinī within us will touch the peak of life, will touch the peak of celebration. And Kuṇḍalinī is the greatest wealth we all possess within ourselves. And our life is only focused on material wealth, isn't it? Only focused on material wealth. But we miss this greatest wealth within us, the greatest potential within us, which is Kuṇḍalinī. And this greatest wealth can only be known when Kuṇḍalinī is awakened. And we carry this energy in the Mulādhāra. That is the wealth, that is the strength we carry. So Mulādhāraika Nilaya. A nama for the Devi, Mulādhāraika Nilaya. She is the one resident in Mulādhāra. In Mulādhāra, which is in the form of 4-petal lotus, Kuṇḍalinī is lying dormant. She is in the state of Yoga Nidra. She is Kula Kuṇḍalinī. Another name for the Kuṇḍalinī is the name for the Devi. So when Mahavishnu, what happens when the Kuṇḍalinī is awakened? The whole creation falls on our feet. Look at Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu is lying on the bed of Adishesha. He has dropped himself into the cosmic Kuṇḍalinī. And what happens when he is soaked in Kuṇḍalinī? The auspiciousness is in his feet. That auspiciousness is Lakshmi. She serves him. So we have this potential within us. Kunda also means a well, right? See, at our home, in our home we have a well, isn't it? And the well has got water. It's an individual well. If you've got 100 wells in a particular street, each well will have an individual source of water. But if you go below the well, you will find a stream. The stream is what is filling the well with water. The same stream is filling the water in every well in the state. And you trace that stream, where does it go? It lands in the ocean. And the ocean is the only kunda. From the ocean it comes to the stream. In the stream it comes to the individual kundas called the world. And each of us has got this kunda within us. But that kunda has got this cosmic energy. It's only one energy. That only one Shakti. All is Kundalini alone. She's appearing as Prakriti. She is expressing herself in every moment within ourselves. She is expressing herself in every moment outside us. But we are not aware. And when the Kundalini is awakened, we initially get this the individual, the sadhaka. The sadhaka's awakening is individual awakening. But the ultimate awakening is that oneness, merging into that oneness. And the only desire the Kundalini has is to be in union with Shiva. She rises herself majestically. Sahasrāra-The Arambujaruda. That's another name. Sahasrāra-The. The one has climbed Sahasrāra, which is represented by 1,000 petals, which is infinity, the infinite nature of consciousness, the infinite nature of Shiva, and which is the ultimate point of awakening. Without that Devi, no movement is possible. She is the pulse behind every action. Without her, no action is possible, but we are clouded in ignorance and we say, this is my action. I am the doer. I am the enjoyer. Without her, there is no enjoyment. Without her, the doership is not possible. And since we are engulfed in this ignorance, she lies dormant in the Mulādhāra, coiled like a serpent, waiting for us to remember her. And our doership will dissolve as soon as we surrender to her. Drop the doership. Surrender to her. Then she rises as Kundalini. The Kundalini resting in Mulādhāra. So she rises like a king cobra. If you look at the king cobra, the fully grown cobra, when it raises the hood, sometimes the snake will be about 15 feet. Just imagine it's a huge snake, fully grown cobra. When it raises the hood, it raises about 1/3 of its body. When it raises the 1/3 of its body, it can stand in front of you eye to eye. So she rises from the Mulādhāra, piercing all the chakras and ascending through the Sushumna. As she moves up, new dimensions start opening within us. Every step there is a dimension which starts opening within us. Just not enjoying those dimensions. Some people do not want to go beyond it. They stop there. They put a ring around themselves. They don't want to progress beyond a certain point. They don't want to inquire further. And this is the state of many religions in the world, including some of the darshanas like Dvaita. They don't want to go beyond a certain stage to understand the reality. So we use a very small portion of this energy to complete our life. Our life is only filled with physicality. So for that, a small portion of that energy is enough for us to live comfortably. What about the rest of the energy? If you don't activate it, new dimensions will not open in your life. So in the 9th verse, we saw the Devi as everything. She is Kundalini Shakti. She is the power of the reality. And she is the power of the manifest world. She is the manifest world. And Kundalini is dormant in the Mulādhāra. And awakening her, she rises to merge with Shiva in Sahasrāra. So in this shloka, the power in Sahasrāra, the Kundalini Shakti descends down, having awakened the sadhaka. The sadhaka has been awakened. The sadhaka is drenching in ananda. Now she wants to go back to her own spot, which is Mulādhāra, and rest there in Yoga Nidra. So the 9th shloka is about the ascending power of the Devi. And the 10th sloka is about the descending power of the Devi. Both the ascending and descending are Devi's power alone. So in this, it talks about Sudha Dhara Sarai. Sudha Dhara Asaraihi. Sudha Dhara Asaraihi Charanayugala Antaha Vigalitaihi. Charanayugala Antaha Vigalitaihi Prapancham Sinjanti Punar Api Rasam Amnaya Ahasaha. Rasam Amnaya Ahasaha. Avapyaswam bhumim Bhujaga Nibamam Adyushtavalayam. Bhujaga Nibamam Adyushtavalayam. Swamatmanam Krutva Swapishi Kulakunde Kuharini. Swapishi Kulakunde Kuharini. So the Kundalini in the Mulādhāra, Swapishi. What is Swapishi? Swapishi means sleep. So, oh Devi, you sleep in the Mulādhāra. You are lying in the Mulādhāra in Yoga Nidra. This also means you remain dormant. You remain unmanifest. The power within yourself is unmanifest. When you say the Kundalini is dormant, it means your potential is unmanifest. The banyan tree is still inside the tree, inside the seed. It has not come out. It is an unmanifest form. You've got so much of potential within yourself. And that's what you mean by dormant. She is sleeping in the unmanifest form, Swapishi. So where does she remain dormant? In Kulakunda, Swapishi, Kulakunde. Kula here is Mulādhāra. She is sleeping in Mulādhāra. Kuharini. So when you say Kuhara means a cavity. Something which is hollow is also Kuhara. A hole is also Kuhara. So here Kuhara means a minute hole. So minute hole. Kuharini means that which has a tiny hole. A Devi, you remain dormant in the minute hole in the center of Mulādhāra. It essentially signifies the Sushumna, which is when you say minute, it is subtle Sushumna. She lies dormant in the subtle Sushumna in Mulādhāra. Kuharini, Swapishi, Kulakunde Kuharini. And how does she remain dormant there? Where was she before? She was in Sahasrāra. She came down from Sahasrāra to Mulādhāra. How? Sudha-dhāra asaraihi. Sudha-dhāra asaraihi. Charanayugala antaha vigalitaihi prapancham sinjanti. Sinjanti means what? Sinjanti means dripping, drenching, soaking the entire universe. Prapancham in this context is also the body. Remember, when she ascended, she bit the Chandramandala. And the Amrita exploded on the sadhaka, nourishing all the 72,000 bodies. The sadhaka has ascended. Her job is over. She comes back and goes back to Yoga Nidra. So Prapancham Sinjanti, soaking, drenching, drinking the Prapancham. The Prapancham is Ananda, isn't it? The Prapancham is Ananda. Just look at this way. The union of Shiva and Shakti is Ananda. And through that union, the creation was born. So what is behind the creation? Ananda only. That's why whatever work we do, whatever we want to acquire in our life, we only look for happiness. If something gives you misery in life, you will never acquire it. You will never do an action or perform an action if that action gives you misery. You always look for happiness behind it. But we go after actions unconsciously. So the whole creation is Ananda only because it was born out of Ananda. The Ananda is the union of Shiva and Shakti. They gave birth to this Ananda called creation. So Sinjanti, she's filling the whole universe with Ananda. Sinjanti also means the individual in this case. She soaked the sadhaka in that Ananda, soaking him through the Amrita. Prapancham Sinjanti. She's drenching the body of the sadhaka. Who is what? Who is meditating on her. So with what does she drench the sadhaka? Sudādhāra asāraihi. Sudha is nectar. Dhara means a continuous flow of nectar. Continuous flow of nectar. Asāraihi. Asāraihi means the essence of nectar. Sudha, dhara, asāraihi. Essence of nectar. Asarati. Asarati means coming down, running. Asara also means powerful flow of nectar. Highly powerful, continuous flow of nectar. And the Devi drenches the body of the sadhaka and the universe with Ananda. So from where does that nectar ooze? Antaha. From inside. So the Devi's feet is Ananda. That Ananda is Amrita. The sadhaka is meditating on the Devi's feet. And that Amrita is filling the Chandra Mandala. And when she has ascended towards the Sahasrāra, she bites the Chandra Mandala to release that nectar that flows everywhere through the body of the sadhaka. And the sadhaka is drenched in Ananda. So the Chandra Mandala has to be visualized this. So Antaha from inside the Devi's 2 feet, the meditator is soaked. See, Antaha Charana Yugala Vigalitaihi, when you say Vigalita, is melted out of the Devi's feet. You can say that. Charana Yugala Anta Vigalitaihi. So the 72,000 nadis of the sadhaka is drenched with this. The meditator is soaked in Ananda. Punaha api also again Rasam Amnaya Ahasa. When you say Rasamnaya indicates the moon. Mahasa is brilliance of the moon. Prakasha, the Prakasha of Chandra, the Chandra Mandala, that is Rasamnaya. Rasamnaya Mahasa, Swam Bhumim Avapya. Having done all this, she wants to go back. She is going back to her resting place, Swam Bhumim Avapya, which is her own resting place, her own abode. And what does she do there? Swam Atmanam Krutva, in her own form. What's her own form? Bhujaga Nibamam. Bhujaga is serpent. Nibamam, like a serpent. Bhujaga, she is not a serpent. She is like a serpent. She is lying down in Mulādhāra. Bhujaga Nibamam. Swam Atmanam Krutva. Bhujaga Nibamam. And how is the serpent? Adhyushta-valayam. Adhyuhu. When you say Adhyuhu, it is a measurement. Adhyushta means 3.5. That is the measurement. Valayam is ring. The snake is coiled 3.5 times and lying down in Mulādhāra. Adhyushta Valayam. Adhyushta means a measure. Adhyushta means 3.5. Adhyuhu is a measure. Valayam is a ring. Adhyushta Valayam. Having descended down to her own place, Swam Atmanam Krutva, he is coiled up 3.5 times like a serpent. Bhujaga Nibamam Adhyushta Valayam. So the significance of the Kundalini coiling 3.5 times presents the entirety of the human consciousness and the potential we have for transcendence. We use only a part of our energy. The rest of the energy is dormant, unmanifest. So the three coils, what do the coils represent? They represent the human avasthas. Jagrata avastha, Swapna avastha, Sushupti avastha. And that is the three coils, but she's 3.5 coils. That half one is the Turiyam, the transcendental consciousness. And that is awakening, isn't it? Kulakande Kuharini Swapishi. In this way, Devi, you are residing in the center of the Mulādhāra, waiting for me to recognize, so that I can transcend all the three states of existence, the Jagrata avastha, the Sushupti avastha, the Karana avastha, and realize that Turiyam, 3.5. And this is the journey of the Kuṇḍalinī. And when the sadhaka realizes the oneness, there is no journey at all. What is the journey? Everything is in the ocean. The Kunda, the well, is from the ocean alone, isn't it? The water in the well is from the ocean. The stream feeds the well. The stream is rising from the ocean. That is the Kunda. So once you recognize the ocean, where is the journey? There is no journey of Kuṇḍalinī at all. And because of ignorance, because of lack of jnanam, we must undertake this journey. And each step of the journey opens a new dimension of life. And that is Kuṇḍalinī awakening. And the initial experiences the sadhaka faces seems like happening in our own Kunda, in our own well. But we have to remember there is a Kunda, an individual and an ocean. In the ocean, everything disappears. It is one cosmic energy. It is one Shakti. Kulakunde Kuharini Swapishi. So Sudādhāra Sāraihi Charana Yugala Antar Vigilitaihi Prapancham Sinjanti Punarapi Rasamnaya Mahasaha. Rasamnaya is the moon. Rasamnaya Mahasaha. Avapya Swam Bhumim. It comes back to our original abode. Avapya Swam Bhumim, and she takes her form. What's her form? What's her form like? Bhujaga Nibamam Adhyuštavalayam. Swa Atmanam Krutva Swapishi Kulakunde Kuharini. So that is this mantra, this shloka about. I took a little more time today, but we have to complete this together. Very beautiful shlokas. So you can meditate on this shloka. Now you'll have a proper understanding of the shlokas once you grasp it. The shloka itself will take you to meditation. And that is enough for today. Uttame shikare jate bhumyam tarvada murtini brahmanebhyo anadnyata gacchatevi yatasukam Stutho maya varada vedamata prachodayanti bhavane dvijata ayu prativyam dravinam brahmavarchasam madhyam dattva prajatum brahmalokam Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Puranam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.